Okay, so when you think of the great kings of England, a few names probably pop into your head, right? Alfred the Great, maybe William the Conqueror. But what if I told you that the man who actually created England, the one who first brought the whole thing together under one crown, is a name most of us have probably never even heard? Well, today, we're going to fix that. We're diving deep into the story of this forgotten founding father.
I want you to just picture it for a second. A time before England was even a thing. It's just this chaotic island, a patchwork of little kingdoms, all constantly at war with each other. So who could possibly have the vision, and let's be honest, the sheer force of will, to hammer all of that into a single powerful nation? The answer is probably not who you think.
That man was Athelstan. And look, while his name might not be as famous as his grandfather's, his impact, it was absolutely massive. You could argue he's one of the most important figures in all of British history. This is the guy who took a violent, fractured land and forged it into a unified kingdom.
So yeah, he had the lineage for sure. Being the grandson of Alfred the Great is a pretty good start. But here's the crucial part. He didn't just inherit a ready-made kingdom. Not even close. What he really inherited was an idea, a blueprint for a united land, and a whole long list of enemies who wanted to tear that blueprint to shreds.
To really appreciate what Athelstan pulled off, we have to understand the world he was born into. And believe me, united is the last word you'd use to describe it.
This was his inheritance. It wasn't a country. It was a constant battleground. You had rival Anglo-Saxon kingdoms just going at it nonstop, all while Viking longships were relentlessly raiding the coasts. There was no English identity. Your loyalty was to your local lord, your tribe. The whole place was crying out for someone, anyone, to step up and bring order to the chaos.
And right on cue, that's where Athelstan steps onto the stage. But he didn't just react to the chaos. No, he had a deliberate, really clever strategy to forge this new nation.
Athelstan's success wasn't just luck, it was pure strategy. He approached nation-building like a grandmaster playing chess, and he had this brilliant and incredibly effective three-part plan.
His strategy was built on three pillars. First, you've got military genius. He had to be able to flat-out crush his enemies on the battlefield. Second, diplomatic mastery. He knew his sword couldn't solve every problem, so he had to build alliances. And finally, and this might be the most important part, administrative foundations. He had to create the systems, the laws, the currency that would actually hold the new nation together.
The absolute high point of his military career was the Battle of Brunanburh. This thing was the ultimate showdown. It was Athelstan leading an army of Anglo-Saxons against this massive coalition of Vikings, Scots, and anyone else who wanted a piece of him. And his victory? Wow. It wasn't just a win, it was a statement. It crushed all serious challenges to his rule and basically drew the borders of his new England right there on the battlefield.
But Athelstan knew a kingdom built only on force is a fragile one. So he became a master of what you could call marriage diplomacy. He strategically married his sisters to some of the most powerful rulers in Europe. This was a masterstroke. It didn't just prevent attacks, it put his new kingdom on the map, turning England from some remote backwater into a respected European power.
So, through brutal battles and brilliant diplomacy, Athelstan achieved the impossible. He became the first man to rule over the entire land that we now call England. The transformation was just staggering. Before Athelstan, your loyalty was to your local lord or your tribe. After him, you start to see the beginnings of a national identity. He replaced endless war with a single realm under one king. He took a whole mess of different laws and currencies and swapped them for a centralized, unified system. This wasn't just conquest. This was the creation of a modern state.
And he built this on really practical stuff. A single, standard currency, for instance, might sound a bit dry, but it was revolutionary. It meant a merchant from the south could easily trade with someone in the north, literally binding the kingdom together with commerce. His law codes applied to everyone, from the lowest peasant to the highest lord, creating a brand new sense of shared citizenship. This was the hard, practical work of building a nation.
And Athelstan didn't stop there. He wasn't just a warrior king. He knew a great nation needed a great culture. His court became this incredible beacon of learning, attracting scholars from all over Europe. He collected books and art, promoted education, and basically sparked an intellectual golden age. He was proving that his new kingdom wasn't just about military power, it was a center of civilization.
So, why does a king from over 1,000 years ago still matter today?
Well, because the consequences of his reign are, quite literally, all around us.
It really boils down to this. The very concept of England as a single, unified political nation was born in Athelstan's reign. He didn't just conquer the land, he created the idea. He's the reason we can even say the word England and have it mean what it does.
Every single English monarch who came after him built upon the foundations that he laid. The centralized government, the national identity, the international standing, it all starts right here. His reign was the critical first step on that very long road to modern Britain.
Which leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. Athelstan forged an identity with swords, laws, and a single currency. But in our modern globalized world, what are the tools we use? What is it that truly forges a nation today?